All right, let's move on to other news now. And amid the unrelenting advancement of Ukrainian forces into Russia's Kursk region, authorities have ordered the evacuation of 20,000 people residing in the border region of the Glashkov district. In a statement, the acting governor of the region has said that law enforcement officials and other state bodies will be coordinating the evacuation process. On Wednesday, a Ukrainian statement claimed that they are marching around 2 kilometers into the Kursk region. They have marched, in fact. It also added that the border town of Sudzha had been cleared of Russian forces. And according to reports, officials from Russia said that about 200,000 people were being evacuated in the region. In the midst of this, President Volodymyr Zelensky lauded the advancement of Ukrainian forces in the region.
There is good progress today in the Kursk region. We are achieving our strategic goal. We have also significantly replenished the exchange fund for our state.
Now, in his address, Zelensky added that Ukrainian drones are doing a fine job. He also added that he is working with partners to get long-range missiles that will enable Ukraine to attack targets deep into the heart of Russia. On the other hand, Russia's defense ministry released a video showing its Sukhoi Su-25 fighter jets in combat operations. Reports suggest that the jets were in action around Russia's border region of Kursk. Meanwhile, India has issued an advisory to its citizens to evacuate from the regions of Bryansk, Belgorod and Kursk regions. The Indian embassy in Moscow stated Indian nationals to take necessary precautions. However, it did not make any open reference to the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And joining us for the very latest on this is Ambassador Volker Stanzel, the former German ambassador and senior distinguished fellow at SWP, German Institute for International and Security Affairs. He joins us live from Berlin. Ambassador Volker Stanzel, thanks very much indeed for talking to us this afternoon. Now, there are wide-scale evacuations taking place. The Ukrainians have made much advancement. Has this conflict turned on its head, and what does this mean for Russia's planned war in Ukraine?
I think to turn it on its head, there's a long way to go. If you consider how much of Ukraine's territory is occupied by Russians and how small the actual advance of Ukrainian troops into Russia so far have been, which have, however, an enormous symbolical value and have an impact on the public opinion in Russia, certainly, but interestingly enough, also on the government itself. It is something I find quite surprising to see how confounded, what an astonishing perplexity the people around Putin and he himself also are displaying. It seems that they have never ever considered that the Ukrainians might be able to act as they are doing now. And this may have consequences. We know Putin does take revenge, even in a very bloody way, if you think of the case of Prigozhin and how he has acted in Ukraine so far. So we may have to expect a cruel reply.
Those are significant points that you're making, of course. Symbolic victory in the region, but something that has surprised Russia. But the other big aspect of this war is the use of sophisticated weapons by Ukraine, drones, heavy artillery, tanks, and now the British say, among other Western nations, that Ukraine is free to use its weapons on Russian soil. How does this change the nature of the war and its implications?
This we have to wait for. I think experts so far are of the opinion that the Ukrainians will not be able to continue the way they have been now, because Russia will fight back and it has enormous capabilities and enormous manpower. But for the time being, it shows, of course, what Ukraine can effect, at least in the short term. What this means, you said turning things on the head before, I don't know. But of course, the Russian argument at the United Nations is that the Ukrainians are the terrorists and the West should stop what they're doing, which is sort of sarcastic in a way. Maybe it's kind of late night show stuff and not a serious argument. The argument that Western countries have been making, including my own, Germany, is that international law accepts defense also on the territory of the attacking state, and it does not rule how long the distance a missile has to be able to fly or anything else like that. I think countries that have supplied arms to Ukraine are now all declaring, again, including my own, that Ukraine is free to use these arms as they deem it necessary.
Yeah. And also, of course, sows deeper divisions between Russia and the West. But this is the biggest foreign attack on sovereign Russian territory since World War II. Where does this place Russia? Does it also slow down going forward? I ask you this again because you're saying that Ukraine is now free to use a lot of Western weapons that weren't available to it some months ago.
Yes, well, they were available, but not with the permission to use them into Russian territory, because supplying countries wanted to avoid crossing what they called red lines for Russia, and they didn't want to provoke a Russian reaction of a cruelty that we have seen already in Ukraine, and we didn't want to continue. But now, with the situation as it is, Russia making advances in Ukraine since a few weeks already, and with Ukraine's public opinion is also increasingly depressed. The consequence has been, as I've just said, that Ukraine must be permitted to use the arms made available to it also on the territory of Russia. And here it does not make sense to say, well, a missile may fly 100 miles, but not 200 miles. I think this is for the experts, military experts, to decide.
Volker Stansel, former German ambassador, senior distinguished fellow at SWP. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your thoughts. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.